So now we have an airship, and that airship has been outfitted to finally fly over magma. Which means we can go do a little bit of exploring. See, you can fly over all that egg yolk. Unhindered, but what's this? The small little island in the middle of nowhere. I'll just let them explain it. Also, I got into a battle you didn't see there, where apparently I was afflicted with darkness. So that sucked. I'll explain float in a moment. Unfortunately, I skipped by that really fast. That was Rydia saying that this is the land of summons, which is where she was hanging out after she was swallowed by Leviathan. Anyway, those red spots on the floor there, if you're not under the effect of float, those will hurt you. Those are very common, and you have to go down several floors in order to reach the city within the land of summons, which is this place. If you don't have float, each of those spots deals 100 damage per step. So you're going to really regret not having float. Make sure you explore the city a little bit because, well, as you saw right there, there's a hidden little teleporter. And there's some good items hanging around. Lots of gil, too. Those are arrows, by the way. Yoichi arrows. Don't step on that because it will take you all the way to the surface. Get fucked. The whole reason you come here, by the way, is to get 2 summons. You go all the way down to the very bottom and you come across Queen Azra and King Leviathan. In order to get them as summons, you need to do, as is tradition, a battle with them. Let me rephrase that. In order to get them as summons, you need to battle them, as is obvious tradition at this point, but I think Final Fantasy III notwithstanding, this is the first time in a Final Fantasy you had to fight a monster to get it as a summon. In fact, this might be the first Final Fantasy which had summons. Once again, Final Fantasy III notwithstanding, because, well, that game is a weird hole in my knowledge base. So Azra here isn't terribly tough, even if you haven't power leveled your party like this. Every time you hit her, she will switch between those 3 faces, and she will respond to the assault based on which face she lands on. She'll either cast Armor on herself, which is basically just Protect from the later games, or she will cast a Cure on herself, or, once in a while, she will cast Cure on your party. And that's basically all she does, is just respond to your attacks like so. If you want to get around her Cure, you can simply cast Wall on her, but I figured I was able to out-damage her healing by casting spells on her, and I've never liked the setup of reflecting spells off of party members onto enemies. Especially in this game, because there's no way of telling if a party member or an enemy is afflicted with Reflect. So just keep... I mean, her healing herself for 3,000 isn't insignificant, but I can make up for it pretty easily. Basically, just keep casting big heals on your party and keep punching her, and then eventually she'll go down. I have the feeling Azra's model here is very different in Japan. Specifically, I have the feeling that the Japanese version of this model doesn't have that single-shouldered top on. She's probably bare-breasted, because that's a very common element that gets censored in the American versions of these games. I could be wrong, though. Feel free to tell me if I'm wrong in the comments, Jeremy. As you can see, if she lands on that face, she just does a minimal physical attack on your party. It's just negligible. God damn it, Edge, you were lagging so far behind. And there we go. Down. Now that you've beaten Azra, I would suggest you go back up top, rest, and save, and then come back down. And talk to this unassuming gentleman here, who is actually Leviathan. Go figure. Leviathan may actually be a little bit easier than Azra. If nothing else, he's not as frustrating because he doesn't have a self-heal the way Azra does. Although he does threaten to kill a single party member very quick, as you can see with Rosa here. Otherwise, all he really does is he will cast Ice, and then when he uncurls, he will cast Tidal Wave on your party. And Tidal Wave's damage isn't insignificant, but you can more than heal it with Rosa's Cure 3 or Cure 4. But all you need to do is just keep casting Bolt 3 on him and he'll die very quick. Unlike Azra, he does have an elemental weakness, which you can easily exploit for gigantic damage. Even Edge can get in on the party with his Blitz. I have no idea what Pin actually does, by the way. And it seems that Kane was in the air each time I tried to cast Cure 4 on the party, which means Cure 4 didn't target him. So I had to take a turn there to specifically target him with a spell. And it's a little frustrating in this game. It's a little bit frustrating at times. It still has some jank to it. And there we go, Leviathan is dead. Like I said, has an elemental weakness, does not heal himself, dies very quick. And doing that nets you the Leviathan summon, which is the third most powerful? Right behind the one you get on the moon. And you very much want to get that before you go into the next dungeon. The next dungeon, by the way, is the dungeon which stopped me in my tracks when I tried to play this game back in 2003. And I will show you, well, I'll tell you the exact moment where I failed and put the game down and never returned that particular save file. In fact, during my entire first playthrough of this, late last year / early this year, I was dreading this singular moment. Get on your little boat ship. Sail over. Here you go. This is the sealed cave. This is where Golbez apparently was headed earlier, but couldn't get in because he didn't have the key. So they gave you the key, which is the only way to get in here, which allows you to get in and get the crystal, which, well, you'll see what happens from that, but I'm pretty sure you know what's going to happen. It's a problem I have with certain fiction, where the heroes enable the villain to succeed in their plan. Also, every door in here is a monster. What they do is they cast target on a player, or rather on a character, and cast dimension, which instantly kills them. Apparently this is a huge impediment to solo Cecil runs, because Cecil needs to be fast enough to get 2 attacks in before the trapdoor can get 2 attacks in, and each of those attacks needs to be strong enough to deal 5,000 damage between them, because the trapdoor has 5,000 health, and that allows you to kill them before they can cast Dimension. Otherwise, your solo Cecil run is screwed. But that problem that I have with fiction is exemplified in the likes of JoJo Part 2, Battle Tendencies, where the Redstone of Aja, they say, is the only thing that can defeat Cars, but it's also what Cars needs in order to become a perfect being. At one point, JoJo says, why don't we just destroy it? To which Lisa says, no, it's prophesied that it's the only thing that will destroy Cars. Here we have another trapdoor monster. Fuck. And then, of course, later Cars uses it and becomes a perfect being, and the only way to kill him is to launch him into goddamn space. Spoilers, I guess. But if they had destroyed the stone, all those Nazis that JoJo was uncomfortable friends with would have been able to just roast Cars with their UV lights. Similarly here, Golbez gets the crystal only because they give us the only key into the sealed cavern into which Golbez was unable to go into. It's silly. It's goddamn silly, it is. Also, there's some way to skip the sealed cavern entirely, but I don't know how. This is it. This is the moment that stopped me in my tracks when I first played this game. The first appearance, again, Final Fantasy III notwithstanding, let's just say that from now on. The first appearance of Evil Wall, later to be known as Demon Wall, encountered in the likes of the Temple of the Ancients, and that one spot in Final Fantasy XII. Not the most frequent Final Fantasy boss, but he does make his appearances, and he's always a son of a bitch. When I first played this game, I didn't know about the power leveling trick. I made my way here, but I must have been just strong enough to make my way here, because I could not put out enough damage to kill this guy. What he does is he slowly inches his way forward, either gradually petrifying your party members, or getting in small physical attacks along the way. And if he gets all the way to the front, he will kill your party members one at a time. If he gets to that point, you have maybe one turn to kill him, or you're done. And I could not put out enough damage to kill him in time. And I didn't enjoy leveling up in this game, so I just said, this is it. This is where I stop. Final Fantasy IV beats me. Just like Morrowind, Final Fantasy IV beat me at first. But if you do that power leveling trick, then Evil Wall is nothing. You can get Leviathan, you have Holy, you have Berserk, your characters are just mountains of muscle. It dies really easily. And there we go. Fuck. My great impediment is just dead. I think in the initial footage, I even beat him quicker than that. Like I said, I spent the entire initial playthrough just dreading that exact moment. So at this point, you want to make sure you unequip Cain, because he's gonna get mind controlled again. So let's take a moment to count Cain's allegiances. He was your friend, then he was your enemy, then he was your friend again. Now he's your enemy, and then he's gonna be your friend one more time. So he switches allegiances 4 times throughout the course of this game. It's kind of silly. There are a lot of things in this game which can be described as kinda silly. And then Cain just makes a fucking break for it. Like a hero.